in town.
What up, IG? If you want to be part of the discussion, you can head on over to the Zoom room. You can sign up on my website, floatingyogi.com. Also, I'll be doing some interchanging, going live on IG, and bringing people in on IG to share content, and also the people in the Zoom room. So let's get to it. As you see, this new scrolling bar at the bottom, boom, right here, we have ways to support the cause. What other ways you can support the cause? Send messages to a friend. Send this live. Be like, hey, hop on this jump. We have some urban yogic wellness and education UE coming your way. And UE, urban yogic wellness and education, we're restructuring how we see health and wellness in the community, bringing the power of growth and evolution and healing back to the individual's hands. I'd also like to thank Surreal Audio Solutions, No Commercials International, DJ Thrill, helping put together this podcast, this program, what you're seeing now, and some of the things to come as well. You can also check our live streaming, our streaming on all platforms, soundtrack, live from Costa Rica, and that could be your daily meditation thing that you sit down to, that you get your mind right, your day started. And once you do, hop on over to my stories, click like, vote, meditate, and then share it and let other people know about what we're doing. Spread the message of consistency.
Fantastic, by the way.
You hear it? You hear it? Spread the message of consistency.
No.
It's community.
Let me tell the people.
Go on, speak to him.
Real simple. Put it on your to-do list. Write it down somewhere. All you gotta do, since you already on Instagram anyway.
You already there.
You already follow friends anyway. Make sure you go to his. Hit yes.
Yes.
You meditated, and he will thank you for it. It's that simple. It ain't even really accountability, because he ain't gonna look you up like, hey, did you meditate today? But if you already have a community, a person, a tribe
of positive encouragement to keep you on the path of that growth and betterment. So just go on, do it. It's something simple you could do for yourself. I appreciate it. Thank you for jumping in, because it really is something that's so simple. Let me click, share. You know what? Let me sit my ass down and do something for my mind, so then I can be in a better place to direct my life the way that I want it to go. Right? And check out the soundtrack on all streaming platforms. What else is there? There's one more. We got Born to Fly Fitness, where fitness is fashion. Got boot camp classes, virtual and in person. Whole bunch of fun stuff, yo. Like, if you don't know, tap into the community. UE, urban yogic wellness and education. So, all right, with that stuff out the way, boom, boom, boom. Last week we were talking about, we ended up just saying what these 4 techniques to get past the doubting and the seeking mind were. We were talking about like that doubting mind that can't be solved, because the issue is it's just gonna doubt whatever answer you give. It's not about, is this the right answer? It's not about like really solving it. I need something that's gonna change the way that I'm thinking. It needs to shift my mindset. So I need an existential experience, something to change me. And then the same thing goes with the seeking mind, because the seeking mind is looking for answers, and it's kind of like the same a similar energy towards it. It's like, all right, if I give you a solution, then they're looking for something else. Even if it's like seeking in the form of, I want enlightenment. That's what he was talking about in here, to be a little bit more specific. All right, you're going to be seeking that enlightenment in one way or another. If you're obsessive about something, all you'll do is shift that obsession from alcohol to yoga, because that's real as fuck. From weed, if that's an addiction, that's debatable in my book. However, from cannabis to working out, calisthenics, running, there's so many different shifts, but it's understanding that it's not just jumping from one extreme to the next, solving the problem. What are we running from? What are we seeking? What are we doubting? All right. So, and we touched on the 4 techniques. I like to call them a little bit more observances, because they bring an awareness to different moments within the breath, within the breathing process. The more awareness we bring to that breathing process, the more efficiently we will utilize the breath. That makes sense, right? Simple enough, right? So, going over them real quick. Watch the gap between the 2 breaths. Watch that gap, whatever that means for you, right? Watch the gap between the two breaths. Then there's watch the turning point between the two breaths. Watch the turning point between the two breaths. We get into that. Whatever that means, right? And watch the fusion point between the two breaths. It's a lot of things happening in between these two breaths, right? So just bringing our awareness to it. If we ain't even think about the turning point and the fusion point, we already got more steps that we ain't even think about that we could be refining a little bit more. Let's see, there's a fourth one in this thing. There's a fourth one. Be aware when breathing stops. Fourth one. Be aware when breathing stops. All right. I'm gonna hydrate, wet the whistle a little bit, and I highly encourage you to hydrate and hydrate often. Stay thirsty, my friends. Watch the gap between the two breaths. Shiva replies, Radiant One, this experience may dawn between two breaths. After breathing comes in, down, and just before turning up, out, the beneficence. That is the technique. Radiant One, this experience may dawn between two breaths. So we're looking for an experience to change us, those existential experiences, and these are one of those moments. Bringing awareness to those processes that we have that are ongoing, a little bit subconscious, bringing them to our awaking state. And this is how she can get past those doubting minds, or we in general can get past those doubting minds. After breath comes in, that is down, and just before the turning point, that is going up, the beneficence. Be aware between the 2 points, the happening. When the breath comes in, observe. For a single moment, hold on, let me turn this up. Ooh. There we go. That's a little bit better. And a little bit, you want a little bit more? A little bit more on this one? Or is it good here? Here. Yeah, I'm with that. All right. One breath comes in, and then there's a certain point and breathing stops. Then the breath goes out. When the breath goes out, and then again for a single moment or for a part of a moment, breathing stops. Then breathing comes in. Before the breath is turning in or turning out, there is a moment when you are not breathing. In that moment, the happening is possible. Because when you are not breathing, you are not in the world. Understand this. When you are not breathing, you are dead. You are still but dead. But the moment is of such a short duration that you never observe it. For tantra, each outgoing breath is death, and each new breath is rebirth. Breath coming in is rebirth, breath going out is death. The outgoing breath is synonymous with death. The incoming breath synonymous with life. Oh, so with each breath you are dying and being reborn. The gap between these two is of a very short duration, but keen. Sincere observation and attention will make you feel the gap. If you can feel the gap, Shiva says, the beneficence, then nothing else is needed. You are blessed. You have known. The thing has happened. You are not to train the breath. I'll dig a little bit deeper on that. But you are not to train the breath. This is probably talking with rigorous conditions, I'm trying to make this happen and I need to force the breath. No, never force the breath. Let your breath guide you. Okay, you are not to train the breath. Leave it just as it is. Why such a simple technique? It looks so simple, such a simple technique to know the truth. You know the truth. To know the truth means you know that which is neither born nor dies. To know that which is eternal element, which is always. You can know the breath going out, you can know the breath coming in, but you never know the gap between the two. Try it. Suddenly, you'll get to the point and you can get it. It's already there. Nothing is to be added to you or to your structure. It's already there. Everything is already there except a certain awareness. So how to do this? First, become aware of the breathing in. Watch it. Forget everything. Just watch the breathing, the breath coming in, the very passage. When the breath touches your nostrils, feel it there. And then let the breath move in. Move with the breath fully conscious. When you're going down to the breath, down with the breath, do not miss the breath. Do not go ahead. Do not follow behind. Just go with it. Remember this, do not go ahead. Do not follow like a shadow. Be simultaneous with it. Breath and consciousness should become one. The breath goes in, you go in. Only then will it be possible to get to the point which is between two breaths. It will not be easy. Move in with the breath, then move out with the breath. In and out, in and out. Buddha tried particularly to use this as a method. So with this method has become a Buddhist method. In Buddhist terminology, it's known as the Apanasati yoga. The Buddha's enlightenment was based on this technique, only this. All the religions of the world, all the seers of the world have reached through some technique or another, and all of those techniques will be in these 112 techniques. This first one is a Buddhist technique, and it is known to the world as the Buddhist technique because Buddha attained his enlightenment through this technique. Buddha said, be aware of your breath. It is as it comes in, goes out, come in, and goes out. He never mentions the gap between because there is no need. Buddha thought and felt that if you become concerned with the gap, then the gap between the two breaths, that concern may disturb your awareness. So he simply said, be aware. When the breath is going in and moving with it, and when the breath is going out, move with it. Do simply this, go in, go out with the breath. He never says anything about the latter part of the technique. The reason is that Buddha was talking with the very ordinary men, and even that might create a desire to attain an interval. That desire to attain the interval will become the barrier between awareness, because if you are desiring to get to move to that interval, you will move ahead. Breath will be coming in, and you will be moving ahead because you are interested in the gap, which is going to be in the future. Buddha never mentions it, so Buddha's technique is just half. And for those who like flow, do Ashtanga, hey, any of y'all with me, or have done it, or just took any of my classes, because I take those same techniques in there. And that's kind of like the same way when I'm like, inhale, arms up, exhale, forward fold, and then like you move before I say it. That's like another one of that. Oh, I'm looking for this. I'm ahead of the breath. Also, if you're in your own practice and doing it, just like flowing on your own, another way to do it would be to realize. I like to say it in my head before I move. So it's like I'm telling myself verbally what I'm about to physically do. And you can see how there's so many miscommunications, yo. And then just imagine those miscommunications that you have with yourself, communicating with your own body that you live in. How does that just transpire to other people and other interactions? Okay. And I like the concept, the part when he was talking about the breath and the body uniting as one, the breath and the mind uniting, and consciousness uniting as one. I was like, yeah, I'm with that. But the other half follows automatically. If you go on practicing breath consciousness, breath awareness, suddenly one day, without noting, you will come to the interval. Because as your awareness will become keen and deep and intense, as your awareness will become bracketed, the whole world is bracketed out. Only your breath coming in or going out is your world. The whole arena for your consciousness. Suddenly you are bound to fill the gap in which there is no breath. When you are moving with the breath minutely, then when there is no breath, how can you remain unaware? You will suddenly become aware that there is no breath, and the moment will come when you feel that the breath is neither going out or coming in. The breath has stopped completely, and that stopping is the beneficence. What up, IG? Hey, Shay. Star. I see y'all. Hold up. Is this Labwell? You had something about about the breath. No, I do not want to end. No. I'm going to find a way to get this a little bit closer. What's up, Gypsy man? I'm going to find a way to get this closer. If you have it, drop it in the chat and I'll be able to add you to it. Okay. But This one technique is enough for millions. The whole of Asia tried and lived in this technique for centuries. Tibet, China, Japan, Burma, Thailand, Ceylon, the whole world, the whole of Asia, except India, has tried this technique. Only one technique, and thousands upon thousands have attained enlightenment through it. And this is the only the first technique. But unfortunately, because the technique became so associated with Buddhist name, Hindus have been trying to avoid it. Because it became more and more known as a Buddhist method, Hindus have completely forgotten it. And not only that, they've also tried to avoid it for another reason. Because this technique is the first technique mentioned by Shiva, many Buddhists have claimed that this book, the Vijayam Bharava Tantra, is the Buddhist book and not a Hindu's book. People just be associating shit and just messing everything up, just putting labels on it. Like, why it gotta be all this? It is neither Hindu nor Buddhist. A technique is just a technique. Buddha used it, but Buddha wasn't a Buddhist. Christ wasn't a Christian. Just don't shoot the messenger.
There's one more in there too. It's one more in there too. I forgot what it is, but it's a trifecta, and I love it. It says Christ wasn't Christian, Buddha wasn't Buddhist, and somebody else wasn't, whatever their religion is named after. And that's one of my quotes that I need to find and use. My other favorite quote, my favorite meme of all time, it's Jesus, Shiva, and another guy sitting side by side in heaven, looking at each other saying, who's going to go tell him the message this time?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Because it's the same message. It's the same thing. It's just what is really going to resonate for you to get you past it and get you through it. That's why it's 112 techniques. Thousands have used this one technique to get it, but everybody is so different that our minds are different. We live differently. So it's like something else is going to be shaped a little bit better for you. Maybe finding the turning point is going to be, maybe observing the gaps is going to be better for you, or maybe just watching the breath, the coming and going. Like it's different strokes for different folks. Okay, I'm not saying that it's simple for you. Other techniques will be more difficult. That is why it is mentioned as the first technique. Boom, first technique. What? We got 111 to go, apparently. Watch the turning point between two breaths. The second technique, all these 9 techniques are concerned with breath. As breath turns from down to up, and again breath curves from up to down through both of these turns, realize it is the same, but with a slight difference. The emphasis is now not on the gap, but on the turning, the outgoing and the incoming breath making a circle. Ooh, envision these parts. Like when you're breathing, envision the breath turning in your body. Visualization is one of our most powerful techniques. Sight builds up that fire within us, that maybe Leo energy, that Sag energy, just to throw some out there, maybe that Aries energy, just that fiery energy, or that Jathar Agni, that metabolism, how we process our thoughts and physical matter as well. It builds that up in us, and it's like, do I want to go towards? Am I going to attract to or repel from? Whatever that desire, that object that we see is. So visualize these things. Our mind can then, like our mind can dance around these objects and see them different ways. And that's the experience, not just listening to me say it, Okay, where we at? We always think of them as 2 parallel lines, breath going in and breath coming out. Do you think that these are 2 parallel lines? They are not. Breath going in is half of the circle. Breath going out is the other half of the circle. So understand this. First, breathing in and out creates a circle. They are not parallel lines because parallel lines never meet anywhere. This is another imagery for our head. Secondly, the breath is coming in and the breath is going out are not 2 breaths. They are 1 breath. The same breath which comes in goes out. So it must have some turn inside. It must turn somewhere. There must be a point in the incoming breath becomes the outgoing. Why put such emphasis on the turning? Because Shiva says, As breath turns from down to up, and again as breath curves from up to down, through both these turns, realize. Very simple, but he says realize the turns and you will realize the self. Why the turns? If you know driving, if you know driving, you know about gears. Each time you change the gear, you have to pass through a neutral gear, which is not a gear at all. From the first gear, you move to the second gear, from the second gear to the third, but always you have to move through this neutral gear, this neutral space, since it's not a gear. That neutral gear is the turning point. In that turning point, the first gear becomes the second gear, and the second gear becomes the third. When the breath goes in and turns out, it passes through the neutral gear. Otherwise, it cannot turn. It cannot turn out. It passes through the neutral territory. In that neutral territory, you are neither body nor a soul, neither physical nor mental, because the physical is a gear of your being and the mental is another gear of your being. You go on moving from gear to gear, but you must have a neutral gear where you are neither body nor mind. In that neutral gear, you simply are. You are simply in existence, pure, simple, embodied with no mind. So, I'm a give y'all a moment while I get the pen, because I gotta underline that. I don't know how I ain't had that part underlined, but that was mad bars right there. Mad bars, right? This is why he was in the cave not talking to people for 13 years. They was like, hey, Osho, you gonna come out? That was his response. That probably wasn't his response, but it was something like that figuratively. If you know, that's like the black version of his response for me. All right. I'm going to say it again. That is why there is an emphasis on the turn. No, that was a long one. That was the wrong one. In that neutral territory, you are neither a body nor a soul, neither physical nor mental, because the physical is a gear of your being and the mental is another gear of your being. You go on moving from gear to gear, but you must have a neutral gear where you are neither body nor mind. In that neutral gear, you simply are. You are simply in existence, pure, simple, unembodied, with no mind. Now let's go and get that underline. Bleep, bleep. Blue, blue. We're going to put a stizzar. Bling, bling, blow. Moving forward. Hey, what's good, Bear? I'm going to see you tomorrow. All right. That is why there is emphasis on the turn. Man is a machine. A large, very complicated machine. You have many gears in your body, many gears in your mind. You are not always aware of your great mechanism. But you are a great mechanism, and it is good that you are aware. Otherwise, you could go mad. The body is such a great machine that scientists say if we had to create a factory parallel to the human body, it would require 4 square miles of land, and the noise would be such of 100 square miles of and the noise would be such that 100 square miles of land would be disturbed by it. The body is a great mechanical device, the greatest. You have millions and millions of cells and each cell is alive. So you are a big city of 70 million cells. There are 70 million citizens inside you, and the whole city is running very silently and smoothly. Every moment the mechanism is working, it is very complicated. These techniques will be related to many points with the mechanism of your body and the mechanism of your mind. But always the emphasis will be on the points where suddenly you are not part of the mechanism. Remember this. Suddenly you are not part of the mechanism. There are moments when you change gears. For example, boom! Gear shifting. For example, in the night when you drop into sleep and you change gears, because during the day you need a different mechanism for waking consciousness, the different part of the mind functions. When you drop into sleep and that part becomes non-functioning, another part of the mind begins to function. And there's a gap, an interval, a turning. A gear is changed. In the morning when you are again getting up and the gear is changed, you are silently sitting in someone's... You are silently sitting and someone suddenly says something. Alright, it's the tongue twister. I gotta do it one more time. This is hilarious. You are silently sitting and suddenly someone says something and you get angry. and you move into a different gear, and that's when everything changes. If you get angry, your breathing will suddenly change. Your breathing will suddenly become irritated, chaotic. A trembling will get into your breath. You will feel suffocated. Your whole body would like to do something, shatter something. Only then can the suffocation disappear. Your breathing will change. Your blood will take a different rhythm. The different chemicals will have to be released into the body. The whole glandular system will have to change. You become a different man when you are angry. A car is standing. You start it. Do not put it in any gear. Let it be in neutral. It will go on pulling, vibrating, trembling, but it cannot move. It will get hot. And that is why when you are angry, you cannot do something. You get hot. The mechanism is already running and to do something, and is already running and to do something, and you are not doing. You will get hot. You are a mechanism, but of course, not only a mechanism, you are more. But that more has to be found. When you get into gear, everything changes inside. When you change the gear, there's a turning. Shiva says, as breath turns from down to up, and again as breath curves from up to down through both of these turns, realize. Be aware at the turn, but it is very short term, very minute observation will be needed, and we are just without any observing capacity. We cannot observe anything. If I say to you, observe this flower which I give to you, you cannot observe it. For a single moment you will see it, and then you will begin to think of something else. It may be about the flower, but it will not be the flower. Right? These are one of the tricks that the mind plays on us. It throws a game our way. Like, oh, hey.
I have some questions.
Oh, drop them jumps. Come on. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Well, not a gem, kind of a self-devil's advocate. I'm always a great devil's advocate of my own damn self. And everybody else. And when was this book written?
Whoo. Oh, we went over that jump. And copywritten in 74. The hippie movement was happening. Consciousness, hippie movement was happening.
Right. So with those comparisons to technology, I wonder if they're outdated. Now, it's not about the technology, it's about the metaphor. And I was just listening in preparation for this, like part of the screenshot that I shared that you saw was a Sadhguru, or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. He said, how much of the human mind do you think you use? And he said, much less than 1%.
I believe it strongly. Majority of us, I think it's more than 1%. I do think it's more than 1%, but the average person around between 4 to 5 to 6%. They say the average human uses like 10, but I don't even believe that. Like we're so not able to get past what we feel things are, what we think things should be, our expectations, and it's so hard to actually comprehend more than like what we can verbally explain to somebody else.
Here we go though.
Mm-hmm.
The whole message was to bring everything back together. It's the same point. Whenever this book was written, the references to technology in that message is the exact same message as, the dude I was watching saying we use less than 1% of our brains. It's saying that the human mind is, that deep that we can't really know it or even know how much we know of it.
Yeah. And it was some things that helped me to start categorizing things like the SIF meditation, sensation, images, feelings, and thoughts, understanding the 4/8 dimensions of the mind, and the state of chitas, the memory, intellect, and identity. And that's just, again, just the basis, the platform where it continues to go a little bit deeper. But those help me to like categorize it and break it down. And then these experiences, like these types of meditations, or realizing these moments in day-to-day life, and then reading about them and being able to make those connections, those have been super helpful and impactful as well, giving those existential experience where it's not like, oh, I'm better because I just heard something. It's like, nah, I thought about it. We went back and forth because we saw it from a different perspective. I was able to shift where I'm looking at it, like shift the angle that I'm looking at it, and still come to the same resolution. So to me, when I see things like that, it gives me a little bit more like confidence in the fact that it's true, as opposed to just seeing it one time. It's like a scientist. If they do it one time and then get it, they're like, yes, these are facts, this happens, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. That don't mean nothing. Like, run it, like, let me see the numbers. How many times did you run it to get your answer?
I completely feel you. For me, that's synchronicity. For me, I will think, because my mind has 50 million voices in it, I will think about something for like a month, or 3 months, or 6 months, or a freaking year. And by the time it manifests itself in the universe, I'm like, oh, bet. I knew this was going to happen. I was just waiting for it.
Yeah, I was just waiting. Like, what's up? Yeah, I feel you with that. Yeah, I feel you on that one. All right. And thanks for pointing out the part of some of the metaphors, because I was looking at the metaphors and I was like, these are kind of old metaphors, but I can still relate to it. And then when you said how technology has shifted now, there's a whole nother can of worms you opened up. But
yeah, my first thought was like, when was this book written? Because I'm in technology, you know? Like, I was raised in technology. So I'm like, really, 4 miles of computers for the human mind? Damn, robots try to kill us in every movie ever.
However, they're still not biomechanical. They still can't reproduce that. I mean, we have some cyborgish type things, but it's not biomechanical. It's gonna come back on in a second.
Yeah, he's gone. It has to cool down.
Yeah, I forgot to pull the thing
I
away.
usually switch over to the I heard him a little. I usually switch over to the Instagram or the Facebook.
I think I'm in Facebook. I saw some of the posts coming.
We hear you, Jay.
You hear you, Jared. Let us know. You want us to go to Instagram?
Nah, that thing should pop on in a second.
Well, he's usually back in under a minute. Yeah, he's usually back in under a minute.
Let me go to
switch over and see what's good.
Yeah.
It's not doing it.
You go to Instagram, I'll go to Facebook. You'll see what's good.
Hey. Oh, you playing game. Yeah.
It's so behind.
Too. But you can hear us.
It was so behind. That's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, the Facebook is down too, but you can hear us on there. So I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, just be one little shift. Alright, there it is. There we go. We back in action. We back in action. What up,
I
yo?
hope I wasn't too ratchet in the middle. My bad.
IG, let me know if he was too ratchet in the middle. Throw some hearts in there, and let me see some B's. Yeah, some B's. Why? Why not B's? Why B's? I'll explain after I see several B's. Moving forward, we're back here, we're back there, and here. Be aware at the turn, but it is very short turn, very minute observation will be needed. And when we are just without any observation capacity, we cannot observe anything. If I say to you, observe this flower, oh yeah, I already did that one. But we are not all observers. We are not aware. We are not alert. We cannot pay attention to anything. We just go on jumping. This is the part of our heritage, our monkey heritage, the monkey mind concept. Our mind is just the growth of the monkey mind. This is so the monkey moves on. He just goes on jumping
Is the
from.
monkey the same as the lizard?
I don't know what the lizard is. I haven't heard of the lizard.
In a lot of spiritual circles, I hear about reptilian brain or lizard brain in reference to just the pre-human, I guess, the survival mode brain.
The monkey mind, the lizard brain is like, I don't know the exact part of the brain that it is, but it's like the small part in the center of the brain. The monkey mind is a coin term in India for how the mind jumps from one concept to the next. Another one in America would be like squirrel, and then you jump from one topic to the next, blah 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 blah. Monkey mind or squirrel, whichever works for you. Thank you for that, because I've had that question or questions that aren't that question, but they kind of sound like that question, and I didn't know how to answer it, but that made it easy. That gave me like a basis to make it easy. Anyway, moving forward. The monkey cannot sit still. That is why Buddha insisted so much on just sitting without any movement, because then the monkey mind is not allowed to go on its way. In Japan, they have a particular type of meditation which they call zazen. The word zazen in Japan means just sitting, no doing nothing. No movement is allowed. One is just sitting like a statue, dead, not moving at all, but there is no need to sit like a statue for years together. If you can observe the turn of your breath without any movement of the mind, you will enter. You will enter into yourself and into the beyond within. Why are these turnings so important? They are important because on turning, the breath leaves you. The breath leaves you to move into a different direction. It was with you when it was coming in, and it'll be with you again when it goes out. But at that turning point, it is not with you, and you are not with it. In that moment, the breath is different from you, and you are different from it. If breathing is life, then you are dead. If breathing is your body, then you are no body. If breathing is your mind, then you are no mind. In that moment, that turning, that shift, dun, 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 the transitions. That's like, here's another one. Here's another good one. This is why I encourage you to do meditation, because it brings these moments into your life on a daily routine, daily atmosphere, whatever the word is I'm looking for, daily, damn it. And then it allows you to reflect, to refine. It's going to get deeper. But then I can say things like this. In those moments when you're jumping back or stepping forward, this might happen. You might, and then move forward. Breathe first and then move. Again, like I mentioned, or exhale and then jump back. Or jump back and then exhale as you land. These are those moments, these moments that happen. It's supposed to be a jump back, exhale all the way until you stick it. So it helps us to refine how we're moving the breath. Not just seated, but also a movement. So, we got it tomorrow, 6 p.m. Go and hit thefloatingyogi.com. Sign up for class tomorrow. Let's go and get it. Okay, and we're back. Dun, 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 dun. Why are all these turnings so important? They are important because on turning, the breath leaves you. Oh, I already read that one. I wonder whether you have observed it or not. If you stop your breath, the mind stops suddenly. Ooh, this is a good one. All right. I wonder if you have observed or not. If you stop your breath, the mind stops suddenly. If you stop your breath just now, your mind will stop suddenly. The mind cannot function. A sudden stoppage of breath and the mind stops. Why? Because they are disjointed. Only a moving breath is just disjointed with the mind, with the body. A non-moving breath is disjointed. Only a moving breath is jointed with the mind and the body. Only a non-moving breath is disjointed. When you are in neutral gear, the car is running. The power is on, the car is making noise. It is ready to go forward, but it is not in gear. So the body of the car and the mechanism of the car are not joined. The car is divided into two. It is ready to move, but the moving mechanism is not joined with it. The same happens when breath takes a turn. You are not joined with it. In that moment, you can easily become aware of who you are. That is why. What is this being? What is it to be? Who is inside this house of a body? Who is the master? Am I just the house, or is there some master also? Am I just the mechanism, or does something else also penetrate this mechanism? In this turning gap, Shiva says, realize. He says, just being aware of the turn and you become a realized soul. I'm gonna have to sip on that one.
Just becoming aware of the term makes you a realized soul.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Just being aware.
We're dead, right?
What'd you say?
Everything's dead. Like I'm hearing, I'm trying to incorporate this with the flow and then my breathing, and so I'm sitting here, like breathing, concentrating on it, and I see the connection. You have a connection on the inhale, and I can feel the turning, and you have a connection on the exhale.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in between.
Yes.
But this flow is still constant.
Mm-hmm. Now that you said that, I can give you another step that's not in this book. However, that visualization comes back, and where you generally feel the breath, where you feel the breath, envision like a lightness in the area where you don't feel the breath, and allow those two areas to meet.
Okay.
Saying it without that awareness would have been challenging, but with it, damn it, I think we can do some work. I'm with the shits. But yeah, I like that. Realize. A realized soul. It says when you become aware of the turning, and what I get from that, how I gather is when you're passing through that neutral gear, you're gaining that awareness and that understanding of who you are outside of your actions, outside of the thoughts, outside of the societal material world, outside of this physical world, the things that actually fill us up spiritually, energetically, whatever, emotionally, those non-tangible things per se. You're able to experience it, and it's like as you realize that, you realize yourself, who you are, your soul, your capital S self. And that's a realized soul. Damn it, you know who you are, what you want to do, your purpose, how you moving through it. All right, the next step 3 of 4. The third technique. Watch the fusion point of the two breaths. Or whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, at this instant, touch the energy-less, the energy-filled center. We are divided into the center and the periphery. The body is the periphery. We know the body, we know the periphery. We know the circumference, but we don't know where the center is. When the out-breath fuses with the in-breath, they become one. When you cannot say whether it is an out-breath or an in-breath, when it is difficult to demarcate and define whether the breath is going in or coming out, when the breath has penetrated in and starts moving out, there is a moment of fusion. It is neither going out nor moving in. The breath is static. When it is moving out, it is dynamic. When it is coming in, it is dynamic. When it is neither, when it is silent, non-moving, you are near to the center. The fusion point of the in and the outgoing breaths is your center. So now we're starting to piece them together. And then we talked before about the 3 different centers of the body. We talked about when we're a baby, we got we start with the belly breathing, then we go to our creative space, we hit then we hit the heart, boom, we start to move a little bit more of that. Then we kind of tend to fixate in the brain, in the head. So moving through these different centers, like I mentioned to Rashida, you can connect those different areas, allow those points to fuse, become aware of them, and then we can control them differently. It's not like I'm saying, oh, move your arm and do this. No. You in a whole different world. You know how to do it. We ain't even really moving muscle like that. We moving our energy, right? So, damn, G done dropped me off a sandwich, and that joint is smelling fire right now. Just finished practicing too. Where we at? Look at it this way. When the breath goes in, where does it go? It goes to your center. It touches your center. When it goes out, where does it come from? It moves from your center. Your center has to be touched. That is why Taoist mystics and Zen mystics say that the head is not the center. The navel is the center. The breath goes to the navel, then moves out. It goes to the center. As I said, it is a bridge between you and your body. You know the body, but you do not know where your center is. The breath is constantly going to the center and moving out. But we are...
Eric, you went out again, bruh.
No!
I know, I just gotta stay quiet and you gonna fix it.
Yeah, I'm fixing it.
Remember, hit up his PayPal, Cash App, whatever you want to.
Come on now, you still scrolling at the bottom?
Facebook. We got
Sign up for class tomorrow.
Come on now, damn it. Hey.
I'm part of my brother's keeper tribe. We got
Wait.
Also by Tumblr. I still haven't figured out Tumblr. Like I haven't figured out why Tumblr is important for mentions. Like at all. Like I follow it on Tumblr and like I be looking at it, but
Well,
like
Tumblr allows you to link. Tumblr allows you to link to your social.
Yogi, urban, yoga, wellness, and education. Yeah.
Come on now.
Listen, you got a flow tomorrow, 6 o'clock. A flow on Saturday at 10:30, and on Sunday.
We're back.
That was a commercial break.
A quick and a word from our sponsors.
Right.
Got the current informational. Didn't drop no F-bombs for no reason.
For no reason. Fog. Anyway, I digress. We're back with it. Okay. Okay. Here we were. The breath is constantly going in and out. Thus, ordinarily, it does not really go to the center, at least. It is not going to the center, and this is why everyone feels off-center. In the whole modern world, those who can think and feel they are missing their... in the modern world, those who can think of all feel they are missing their center. Those who can think at all feel they are missing their center. Look at a child sleeping. Observe the breath. The breath goes in, the abdomen comes up, the chest remains unaffected. That is why children have no chests, only abdomens, very dynamic abdomens. The breath goes in and the abdomen comes up. The breath goes out, the abdomen goes down. The abdomen moves. Children are in their center, at their center. That is why they are so happy, so bliss-filled, so energy-filled, never tired, overflowing, and always in the present moment with no past or future. Except for when Jumi is crying and screaming her ass off at 1 a.m. every single night. She doesn't seem so blissful. But, I wake up and I get the rocks going. She likes to sit up, so my sleep is even more tortured at the fact that I have to sit like this and rock with her, side to side. And then she goes, like a cat or something, and then just goes to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, just like that. Just, they be moving, pulling away, and then going to sleep. I'm like, all right, so can I lay you down? And then I lay her down, and she's like, really? I digress. So clearly, I don't know if I'm gonna vibe too on point with how happy and blissful children are. However, I get the point. They are blissful and happy and whatnot. All right. A child can be angry. When he is angry, he's totally angry. He becomes the anger. Then his anger is also a beautiful thing. When one is totally angry, anger has a beauty of its own, because totality always has beauty. You cannot be angry and beautiful. You will become ugly, because partially it was always ugly. And not only with anger, when you love, you are ugly, because you are, again, partial, fragmentary. You are not total. Look at your face. When you are loving someone, make love. Make love for before a mirror and look at your faces. It will not be ugly. It will be ugly, animal-like. In love, also your face becomes ugly. Why? Love is also a conflict. You are withholding something. You are giving in a very miserly way. Even in your love, you are not total. You do not give completely, wholly. A child, even in anger and violence, is total. His face becomes radiant and beautiful. He is here and now. His anger is not something concerned with the past or something concerned with the future. He's not calculating, he's just angry. The child is at his center. When you are at your center, you are always total. Whatsoever you do will be a total act, good or bad. It will be total. Boom. This is going to be a pause and a pull back to the baby girl thing. So then when I see her, and that's why I just be happy. I be like, you completely destroying my sleep. But you so cute. And I'll be bouncing her and shaking her. She get the whole lip going. The eyes start to scrunch up. I be like, come on, we just gonna do this. It's like I'm glad no one's just like outside the door. They think I'm like abusing the child, but nah, whole time I'm just like throwing mad love on her and shit. Anyway, back to it. When you are fragmentary, you are off center. Your every act is bound to be fragment of yourself. Your totality is not responding, just a part. And that part is going against the whole. That creates ugliness. We are all children, and we all were children. Why is it that as we grow, our breathing becomes shallow? It never comes to the abdomen. It never touches the navel. If you could go down more and more, it would become less and less shallow, but it just touches the chest and goes out. It never touches the center. You are afraid of the center, because if you go to the center, you will become total. If you want to be fragmentary, this is where the mechanism is to be fragmentary. You love. If you breathe from your center, you will flow with it totally. You are afraid. You are afraid to be so vulnerable, so open to someone, to anyone. You may call him your lover, you may call him the beloved, but you are afraid of the other is there. If you are totally vulnerable, open, you do not know what's going to happen, then you are completely in another sense. Then you are completely in another sense. You are afraid to be so completely given to someone. You cannot breathe. You cannot take a deep breath. You cannot relax your breathing so that it goes to the center, because the moment breathing goes to the center, your act becomes total. Because you are afraid of being total, you breathe shallowly. You breathe just at the minimum, not at the maximum. That is why life seems so lifeless. You breathe just at the minimum, not at the maximum. That is why life seems so lifeless. If you are breathing at the minimum, life will become lifeless. You are living at the minimum, not living at the maximum. That's the only thing we can control in this world is our breath. So the most important thing we need is that next breath. So in the energy we get from it. So if you're only breathing borderline, if you're only remembering 2-3 conscious breaths that you took throughout the day, you're showing where you're giving your attention in your life, right? And let's just say the more you do the breathing, there are reserves that build the fuck up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say again in the practice. So when you tell me if I'm not breathing, I'm not breathing fully, and you tell me to breathe here and then breathe there, and once I, get my breath together, I have more space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same,
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to tell you, Tuesday, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Hit the website, gonna sign up. We're gonna be in there flowing. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be a couple people in house. Cough, cough, cough. That's not corona. That's getting someone's attention. Cough, cough, cough. And we gonna be flowing it out. It'll be great to see you there. All streaming platforms. Let's go, go, go. All right, and we're back. You can live at the maximum, then life is in overflowing. But then there will be difficulty. You cannot be a husband, you cannot be a wife. Life is overflowing. Everything will be difficult. If life is overflowing, love will be overflowing. Then you cannot stick to one. Then you will be flowing all over. All dimensions will be filled by you. And then the mind feels danger. So it is not to be alive. The more you are dead, the more you are secure. The more you are dead, the more everything is in control. You can control, then you remain the master. You feel that you are the master because you can control. Is he hitting it right now? You can control you can control your anger, you can control your love, you can control everything, but this is not control. But this controlling is possible only at the minimum level of your energy. That means you're not really feeling it. Ooh. Because the more you practice, the more your body wakes up and the more you feel shit. That's in a great way and in however you want to look at it. There is duality. I strongly believe that. Go on, hop on in. I feel like, hey, thanks for the time.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. I was gonna be like, I was updating you with a time check. That's all.
Thank you. You know, my camera did that. It died. I was like, damn it. I mean, well, overheated. It overheated. Yeah, I had to do a little trick to keep it. We only gonna do 3 of these. We gonna stop before we get to be aware of when the breathing stops. We might tap on the breathing stop when the breathing stops on Thursday or Monday. We'll see what the hell is out. All right. Where were we? Within an hour. All right. Everyone must have felt at some time that there are moments when sudden changes from the minimum level to the maximum. You go out to a hill station. Suddenly, you are out of the city and the prison of it. You feel free. The sky is vast. The forest is green. The height touches the clouds. Suddenly, you take a deep breath. You may not have observed it. Now, if you go to a hill station, observe it. Observe. It is not really the hill station that makes the change. It is your breathing. You take a deep breath. You say, ah. You touch your center. You become total for a moment. You become total for a moment, and everything is bliss. That bliss is not coming from the hill station. That bliss is coming from your center. You have touched it suddenly. You are afraid in the city. Everywhere there were others present, and you were controlling. You could not scream. You could not laugh. What a misfortune. Ooh, that's like being on shrooms in a group of people that you don't know and not really sure if you really fuck with, but you're like stuck there for like an hour or so. Yo, that is the most uncomfortable fucking feeling ever, yo. You just sitting there like, yeah, I know it went out. I'm gonna let it cool off. You just sitting there like, yo, I need this to stop. Like yesterday, I need Joy to shut up. Yeah, it's like I need you to stop. I need this.
Yeah, I figured this time I'll just put on intermission music.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch because I'm still on I'm still on 5 other platforms, so I'm still going to get it.
I can pull him up. I'll pull up one of his old meditations.
Pull up the 2 minute. I think it's one that's 2 minutes.
As whole music?
With him playing both.
I do.
I want to get it before he comes back.
Instagram. We are still here. Who up in this thing? Hey, Ahmed, what up with you, yo? In her zone. I see you, Robin. I see you.
Where the balls at?
Gypsy man, Michael. Hey, Gypsy, you still flowing with us?
Hey, I'm in that one.
All right. And we almost done. We're almost done. Almost finished for today. There we go. We're back on YouTube and Facebook and IG and Twitch. We never left IG. But we're back! Like we never left. Even though we did. Okay. Where were you? You're afraid you just dance in the street. All right, yeah, the whole shroom thing. All right, you could not stream. You could not laugh. What a misfortune. You could not sing in the street and dance. You were afraid. A policeman was somewhere around a corner, or the priest, or the judge, or the politician, or the moralist. Someone was just around the corner, and you could not dance in the street. Bertrand Russell has said somewhere that I love civilization, but we have achieved civilization at a great cost. You cannot dance in the street. You cannot go to a hill station and suddenly you can go to a hill station and suddenly you can dance. You are alone with the sky, and the sky is not imprisonment. It is just opening, vast, infinite. And suddenly you take a breath deeply, and it touches the center and this bliss. But it is not so. It is not so for long. Within an hour or two, the hill station will disappear. You may be there, but the hill station will disappear. Your worries will come back. You will begin to think to make a call or two to the city, to write a letter to your wife, or you will begin to think, since after 3 days you're going back, you should make arrangements. You have just arrived. You are making your arrangements to leave. You are back. That breath was not from you, really. It suddenly happened because of the change of situation, the gear shift change. You were in a new situation. You could not breathe in the old way. So for a moment, the new breath came in. It touched the center, and then you felt the bliss. Shiva says, you are every moment touching the center, or if you are not touching, you can touch it. Take deep breaths, slow breaths. Touch the center. Do not breathe from the chest. That is a trick. Civilization, education, morality, they have created shallow breathing. It will be good to go deep into the center, because otherwise you cannot take deep breaths. Unless humanity becomes non-suppressive towards sex, man cannot breathe really. If the breath goes deep down to the abdomen, it gives energy to the sex center. It touches the sex center. It massages the sex center from within. The sex center becomes more active, more alive. Civilization is afraid of sex. We do not allow our children to touch their sex centers, their sex organs. We say, stop, don't touch that. Look at a child when they first touch their sex center, and then say stop, and observe his breathing. When you say stop, don't touch your sex center, the breath will become shallow immediately, because it is not only his hand which is touching the center. Deep down, the breath is touching it. And if the breath goes on touching it, it is difficult to stop the hand. If the hand stops, then basically it is required that the breath should not touch, should not go deep. It must remain shallow. We are afraid of sex. The lower part of the body is not only lower physically, it has become lower in value. It's condemned as lower, so do not go deep. Just remain shallow. It is unfortunate that we can only breathe downward. If some preachers were allowed, they would change the whole mechanism. They would only allow you to breathe upward and into the head. Facts. That's where the breath work comes in, alternate nostril. That's when we get into that. Otherwise, belly breathing, Buddha breathing, Kapalabhati, we're activating those areas. If we are to create sexless humanity, then we will have to change the breathing system. The breath must go into the head, to the Sahasrara, the seventh center of the head, the seventh chakra, the crown chakra. Then come back to the mouth. This should be the passage from only mouth to Sahasrara. It must not go deep, because down is too dangerous. The deeper you go, the nearer you reach the deeper layers of biology. You reach the center, and that center is just near the sex center, just near. It has to be, because sex is life. Look at it in this way. Breath is life from above downward. Sex is life from just the other corner, from downward up. Sex energy is flowing, and breath energy is flowing. This is tapping into that turning point, right? This also taps into the positive and negative energies. Positive energy would be from that we breathing in the Apana Vayu, and then the negative energy comes from the tip of the tailbone, the coccyx area, and the spark, the negative energy, the spark that comes up to positive in the head. There is a connection in a circle, in a unit, which he's talking about. Notice the circle. It circles in the abdomen. It circles through the diaphragm, because that's what we're breathing with. And these other energies are connected with it as well. Some fun stuff we'll get into later. That's more sacred geometry, connecting the sacred geometry to the body, understanding the meridians, the chakras, the nadis, those things. All right. Look at it in there. Sex energy is flowing and breath energy is flowing. The breath passage is the upper body and the sex passage is the lower body. When they meet and create life, when they meet and create biology, bioenergy. Ooh. So if you are afraid of sex, create a distance between the two. Do not allow them to meet. So really, civilized man is castrated man. That is why we do not allow the breath. And this sutra will be difficult to understand. Shiva says, whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, at this instant, touch the energy-less, energy-filled center. That's how we come back to the center, right? All right, we got about 2 more paragraphs and 3 more paragraphs. Then we're going to wrap it up. Any closing, finishing remarks, anything y'all want to share, anything that stood out to you, drop it in the chat. Go and raise a hand. We bring you in. It is what it is. Let's get it. All right. He uses contradictory terms. Energy less, energy filled. It is energy less because your bodies, your minds cannot give any energy to it. Your body energy is not there. Your mind energy is not there. So it is energy less as far as you know your identity. But it is energy filled because it has that cosmic source of energy, not because of your body energy. Your body energy is just fueled energy. It's nothing but petrol. You eat something, you drink something, it creates energy. It just goes on to fuel the body. This physical matter in this 3D world, not us. Because we are not our body, we're not our mind, we're not even our emotions, the energy in motion. We are the observer of those things in that mechanism and how it flows. Okay, stop eating and stop drinking and your body will fall dead. Not just now, it will take 3 months at least, because you have reservoirs of petrol. You have accumulated much energy. It can run for at least 3 months without going on to any petrol station. It can run, it has reservoirs for an emergency, any emergency, you may need it. This is fuel energy. The center is not getting any fuel energy. That is why Shiva says it is the energy less. It is not dependent on your eating or your drinking. It is connected to the cosmic source. It is cosmic energy. That is why it says energy less, energy filled center. The moment you can feel the center from where breath goes out or it comes in is the very point where the breath fuses. That center, if you become aware of it, is enlightenment. So, the last one, that's where we're going to stop today. The last one is be aware of when breathing stops. And I just encourage you to do that. Just be aware of when the breathing stops for you. Today, tomorrow, when you go to sleep. I have moments of awareness. I don't know if I'm awake or asleep, if my eyes are open or closed, if I'm dreaming or awake. But then I find myself like rolling over in the bed. And that reminds me, that's like another picture-in-picture in my head saying, oh, you are tripping, nigga. You are right in the bed, chilling. You smoked some good tree today.
I'm understand you was high as shit.
High or sleep deprived. I'm telling you. Who really knows what the difference is? They say drunk and tired is like neck and neck with... No, tired has more accidents than drunk. And you know what? Daggone it, I believe it. Gets fucking fire. Anyway, if y'all had anything you want to share, let me check the chat. Hey, what's up, Mike? What's going on, Eric, with the crystals? Who else is hopped up in this thing? Gypsy Man, Mike still flowing with me. Mike Mind Mogul hopped up in this thing. Eric up on it. Hey, what's good? What's good? Peace and love, kings, queens, and gods. This is Floating Yogi's Book Club every Monday night at 6 p.m. We got it. The playbacks will be available for you. Thanks to the sponsors, UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, restructuring health and wellness in the community, bringing the power of growth and healing to the individual's hands. I'd like to thank Surreal Audio Solutions, No Commercials International, no commercials, and I'd like to thank Born to Fly Fitness, where fitness is fashion. Check out the meditation on all streaming platforms. That can be what you meditate to. Get your mind right. A little quick 5-minute session. Then check on my stories. Click vote. Then share that thing. And then you're gonna enter for a gift for. You're gonna enter for a chance for the giveaways. And we got some good giveaways happening. We got some sponsors donating some fun stuff. So if you'd like to be a part of that, if you have something to offer, let's chop it up. Let's make it happen. Let's see how we can share these things, grow this people, and grow this community, and have solid service, solid product to share to the black folk, because we need it. Daggone it, it's a lot of shit out here. Outside of that, any questions, comments, want to work on something, please, my DMs, my emails open. Slide in. Peace and love.